Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about putting decals on your car. I've gotten some questions as to how I got all these on. It's actually a very easy process. We're going to be focusing on the ones back here. After the accident, they had to be removed. So I'm going to put them back on. So we're going to jump right into it. I've got the decals in there. The first thing you want to do is you want to start with the surface that you're going to be putting the decal on. You want it nice and clean. So what I will always do is I will grab some paper towels. Just want to work. I'll take some glass cleaner. I will spray the area. Then I will wipe it. Make sure it is perfectly clean. You see there is some dirt. This car has not been washed. And this is kind of the lazy way to do it. I mean, technically you could just wash the whole car first. But I'm only focusing on this one area here and then an area here. So I'm just going to make sure that it's nice and clean, like that. I might give it a little bit of a spritz and then go over it one more time. I usually do it twice, double clean it, and it will actually touch in here a little bit, so I'll go ahead and do that. This stuff evaporates and dries really fast. You can see it's already just about dry, and that looks good. Now, paper towels leave lint, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look down the car, make sure that there's no lint. It looks fine this time. And our surface is ready. So I'm going to put these on using masking tape and the decals themselves. These decals are really nice. Let's see which one goes on top. I think BBS goes on top. So this is our decal. As you can see, it's got a front protective covering and a back protective covering. That's what makes these really easy to put on. So when you go up to your car, you're going to put the decal on. Decide which gap you want your decal to have. So you kind of are going to move it to where you want it on the car. I'm going to say right there. And now we're going to place our tape to hold this decal up. And once you're satisfied that it's straight and it's where you want it, you're going to put that like that, okay? This is going to be roughly where your decal is going to end up. Now I'm going to look at the other side and make sure it looks the same. Yeah, that looks good. It looks very similar to the other side. So now that our surface is clean, I'm going to take, this is my debit card. I don't want to have that on camera. I'm going to use my employee card from work. I'll have this handy so that I can scrape it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this back, and you will see that there is going to be an edge down here. It's really hard to get at. Gotta be careful. Right there. You're going to pull this white part off. Once this white part is off and this touches the paint, it's a game over. There's no return. So you got to be very careful. We're going to pull it straight and flat, and we're going to press it to the vehicle like that. This is where we take our card and run it down, making sure all the edges are nice and flat. Very easy to do on small decals like this. Larger decals, bigger surface area, a lot harder to work all the bubbles out and make sure it's perfectly straight. But on smaller decals, no biggie. Now, what we're going to do, after we're certain that this is stuck to the vehicle, it's carded properly, we are going to peel this fuzzy film off. And we're always going to pull it at a hard angle to the decal. So if you can't see, we're not going to pull it straight out and pull it. We're actually going to pull it backwards. So there's going to be a harsh angle so this doesn't rip and it doesn't pull the decal off. Like that. Let me just pull this tape. And there is one decal on the vehicle. Now we're going to be talking about measuring space for a second decal. Now, you can use a tape measure or you can use your eye. It depends on how perfect you want it. So this first one, since we don't actually have a decal to compare it to, we can make our distance here. So if you look at the other side for reference, it's going to be like a fraction of an inch. So it looks like, now this is where it gets tricky, not from the white, but from the top of the decal, which is where the orange stops, to the bottom of this decal, there's about an inch of space. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to try and estimate that about here. And now what I can do is I can take this tape measure and measure from the bottom of this decal to where the O, the top of the O. And then I'll go on the other side. So it looks like it's just a hair too high on this side. So we will take it and go like that. Now also trying to get it straight. So that looks good compared to the other side. But now we want to make sure it's straight compared to the other decal. So what you can do is two different things. You can say, well, this white box is cut straight and this body panel edge is straight, so as long as you line the edge of this up with the edge of your body panel, it'll mostly be straight, right? Well, we don't always want to bet on that, so what we're going to do is I'm going to measure the space. Okay. Okay. Looks good. Looks great. It's straight. So now what we do is the same thing we did before. We're going to go ahead. We're going to pull back. The only problem is this is a lot more complex of a decal than the last one. So we're going to be very careful. We're going to keep in mind that we always want to pull harsh towards the edges. And we're going to get this one on the car. Again, this one's a little bit more complex because of all the shapes. My fingertips are going numb because it's cold out here. So we're going to pull, and we're going to try to keep this from hitting the car. Because if this slips and hits the car, you're going to have nightmares. So this is going to be pulled down and straight like that. That's really not the problem. The problem is going to be getting it all off. So with this being a complex decal, I'm actually going to card this a lot more than I would normally. I'm just going to make sure all the little edges, all the little things are on the vehicle as they should be. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to pull it off. And we are going to come at a very harsh angle to ensure that all the little letters and all the little edges of the letters and all that stuff don't get pulled off. I'm going to gently roll it back and forth on some of them, just making sure that we don't ruin any, because I've ruined a couple of decals this way. And there's actually a few mistakes on the car because I didn't do stuff like that. And then we go. Now we've got our OZ Racing decal on the car. So now what I'm going to do is show you how to get a decal in a space that's a little tight. Because as you can see, if we put this tool, it's actually going to overhang the gas cap, and we don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take the corner, and we're going to wrap it under, and then close the gas cap, and it's going to look like a curved decal. Relatively complex to do, but not too difficult. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So what we're going to do, obviously, is our first steps, which is get some tape, put this on the way that we talked about. So right away, you can kind of tell this one's crooked. So what we're going to do, it looks like this side needs to come down a little bit. So I will do that. Something like that. There we go, that's straight. So now again, now that we've got a plan, what we're going to do is we're going to repeat the process, but we're going to have to wrap this. So I'm probably going to open this to make it a little bit easier. Now we're going to pull it off and then wrap it under there. So So that looks pretty good. Take the card. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to pull this off before I can wrap it under. Which means I'm going to go from this side instead of the other side. If I go from this side, it's going to pull the decal off. So I'm actually going to take this, and you can see it's starting to pull the decal off a little bit because it's on the very edge of the body panel. So you're going to go at a really hard angle, and it should be fine. Like that. There we go. Now we can just pull, again, at these hard angles I'm telling you all about, like that. I'm not right-handed, but you can't see if I do it left-handed. We'll just see it's starting to make a lot of noise. I'm pulling it a little hard. There. And that's that. So now I'm going to come back and very gently, now that the protective layer is off, card this down where it needs to be, around the edge of this body panel just a little bit, like that. Now, what do we do with this edge? Well, we're going to use the curvature of our fingertip to do that. And now, with that pressed in, I'm just going to make sure that this does what it needs to there. Be something like that. In there like that. And close the gas cap. And now we've got our problem fixed. So now if you look at it, you can see that, if you look, you can see the curvature in there. Doesn't look bad. Kind of, to some people, might look half-ass, but you really can't tell until you open it that you didn't cut off the thing. Because if we had to cut it off, I'd have to draw a line and then cut it very precise. And even then I'd have an edge that water could damage and stuff like that. So we've got that there, and there we go. And this is pretty much centered to this, to that. So we've got the 3 on there. Now we just gotta get the Toyo one on there, which is not gonna be very hard. And there's that. So I'm gonna give you guys a close-up of the cleaning portion of this, just in case you, for some reason, wanna see more. So I'm gonna spray this surface very lightly with some glass cleaner. It's gonna run all down your car. It's gonna make a mess. And then we're going to clean this panel that you wanna put these decals on. All right. That's a weird noise. It's not supposed to do that. So, really just this area is what I'm going to concentrate on. This is where the decal is going to go. Right here. You can see there is some dirt on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip another one. I'm going to spritz a little bit of glass cleaner on the paper towel. I'm going to do a secondary thorough clean of this surface here. Like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check this surface for lint, because again, paper towels, quite a lot of lint. So we're going to look down it. I'm going to maybe gently do that because my shirt's nice and clean. Blow on a little bit, looks fine. Now you're going to decide where you want this thing to go. If you look at it relative to the other side, this is exactly where it's going to go. Again, I've done this a million times, so I really know where every single decal on this car should go. I know like the gap limits and all that stuff. So we're going to go with that. This tape was a little short. It'll have to do. You're going to pull backwards. So instead of pulling straight out, that's going to pull the decal off the car, maybe mess your paint up. We're just going to pull at an angle like this. I'm going to get this tape off so that way you can do that. And now just like that. And it looks like we have a really big bubble underneath the T for some reason. A really big air bubble. So to fix that, ideally, we would still have the protective thing on there. I'm just gonna gently See how I kind of fixed it? You probably couldn't see it, but I got on one side of the bubble and I very gently pushed, and I was looking at this side since I was pushing here, and it was pushing it towards the nearest edge of the decal. It's just air. I relieved the air pressure, and now you can barely tell. As a matter of fact, you guys probably can't tell, so I'm going to show you how it's messed up. So if you look, maybe you can sort of slightly see. That's really too close. There we go. Maybe. I don't know. It's right there. You see there's a very, very barely wrinkled. But again, when you get back, you don't see it. So I can't see it from where I'm standing. So there you go. You got Toyo tires. And that's going to be that. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you liked it, do not forget to subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see next. And as always, I will see you, special friends, in the next video.